Time slips through the fingers like sand, each grain a fleeting moment, yet eternity stands unmoved, untouched by the ticking of clocks. Across the centuries, minds sought to trace the line where time ends and the infinite begins. A philosopher, a theologian, and a physicist, each drawn to the same riddle, shaping its meaning through the course of their lives. Aristotle saw time in the rhythm of a cosmos in motion. St. Thomas Aquinas folded it into the order of divine creation, and Albert Einstein bent it with light, turning moments into dimensions. From different worlds, they reach the same horizon, a glimpse of eternity's quiet heart. Their journey begins with the steps of young observers watching the world change and wondering what lies beneath. In the grooves of Stagira, where the Aegean murmured to the shore, Aristotle was born in 384 BC, a boy drawn to the patterns of the world. Nature was his first teacher, the rustle of leaves, the arc of a bird, the rise and fall of tides. These were not just accidents, but the rhythm of a living cosmos. Even as a child, he watched closely, a quiet student of change. In Athens, he studied under Plato, but where his teacher saw the world as illusion, Aristotle saw substance. The earth was not a shadow of something higher. It was truth in motion. An acorn becoming an oak, a river cutting through stone. Each change was real, purposeful, and unfolding toward what it was meant to be. This early vision shaped his life's philosophy. Change was not chaos, but direction. Nature moved with intent, and from that motion, Aristotle began to measure time, not as something abstract, but as the count of change, the number of movements in relation to before and after. Time to him was not flowing substance, but the measure of motion. The star's arc and the flower bloom and fade. These were not time, but its markers, its visible trace. Without change, there was no time. It was bound to motion's unfolding. But even motion was not enough. It needed witness, a mind to perceive, to count, and to name the before and after. Without perception, time remained unmeasured. In this view, time became a bridge between the cosmos in motion and the soul that observes. For Aristotle, eternity was not infinite time, but timelessness, a movement that had no beginning and needed no end. The stars wheeled in endless cycles, the universe pulses with change that had no first cause. Time, as the measure of motion, arose from this rhythm, but eternity was not time made infinite. It was the source from which time flowed, a motion with no origin or end. The universe moved not toward a conclusion, but within its own nature, a living cycle, full of purpose, yet without finality. This vision, grounded in Aristotle's faith in nature, left no room for a moment of creation. The cosmos needed no start. It simply existed. Yet, behind this eternal movement, he glimpsed something still, a first mover, unchanged and unmoving, that set all else into motion. In Aristotle's view, where the heavens turned in endless rhythm, all passage led back to a single source, the unmoved mover. This being, pure and eternal, remained untouched by change, yet moved all things. Unlike the shifting world it set in motion, the unmoved mover was beyond time, beyond becoming. It existed in perfect actuality, whole and complete. All things moved because they sought this perfection, as if the universe itself leaned toward divinity. Here, Aristotle found eternity, not as endless time, but as the unchanging heart behind it. The unmoved mover stood beyond before and after, the silent whispering of the world's ceaseless flow. From this insight, the mystery of time passed into other hands, and in the hush of cloisters far from Stagira, another mind would seek the eternal, not in the stars, but in the soul. In the shadowed cloisters of Rocca Secca, where the Italian hills whispered of divine order, Thomas Aquinas was born in 1225, a soul destined for stillness amid a world full of turmoil. A quiet monk, his mind was a cathedral, its arches spanning the vastness of human and sacred thought. Drawn to the Dominican order, he embraced a life of contemplation, his heart a crucible where faith and reason fused. St. Thomas, with his gentle tread, carried multitudes within, his silence a canvas for truths that would echo through the ages. As a student of Aristotle, St. Thomas drank from the ancient philosopher's well, finding in his logic a scaffold for divine mysteries. Yet, where Aristotle saw nature's motion, St. Thomas saw creation's pulse, baptized in the light of Christian revelation. His quest was to weave these threads, reason's clarity and faith's depths, into a tapestry of understanding. St. Thomas's life, marked by prayer and study, turned his gaze to the nature of time itself. From his silent meditations, a vision emerged, one that would place time within the finite bounds of creation, a reflection of the higher, eternal truth. In the still hush of his cloister, Thomas Aquinas turned inward, towards time, toward God. In his Summa Theologiae, he echoed Aristotle. Time is the measure of change born from motion's flow. But unlike Aristotle's eternal cosmos, St. Thomas saw time as created, woven into the world the moment God said, "Let there be light." Before creation, there was no motion, no becoming, only divine stillness. Time then was not eternal, but a creature of beginning. It marked the world with seasons from shadows, where things came to be and passed away. For St. Thomas, this temporal order was finite, its existence held within the hands of God, who himself stood outside its bounds. In this vision, time is not endless, it is anchored to a divine will, and from that foundation, Aquinas' thought rose beyond the created to contemplate eternity, not time without end, but a state untouched by change. In the stillness of faith, St. Thomas turned his mind towards eternity's absence. He wrote of God as dwelling in tota simul, a boundless now where all moments exist at once. Eternity for St. Thomas was not a span but a state, the fullness of being, unchanging and complete. Unlike creation, however, bound by time, God's eternity is pure act, no succession, no before or after. Its presence is not a process, but a perfect knowing that needs no unfolding. Time, fragile and finite, flows from this divine stillness which holds the world in its gaze without shifting. St. Thomas saw in the heart of man a desire for the same eternal now, a call to rise beyond time's passing into the still light of the divine. After death, St. Thomas taught that the soul enters God's eternal now, a realm where time's measure fades, not into emptiness, but into fullness. Eternity for him is the beatific vision, the soul's union with God, where all longing rests in the light of perfect truth. This is not a void, but life fulfilled. Free from the body, the soul beholds God's essence in a single, unbroken act of love and understanding. For St. Thomas, this was not the end, but the soul's true beginning, a life beyond time, lit by the joy of divine communion. From St. Thomas's meditations rose a theology crowned with hope. The soul's ascent to eternity bridged the temporal with the infinite, the mortal and the divine. From the stillness of Thomas Aquinas' eternal now, time stirred again, in the flicker of a boy's wonder. In the quiet town of Ulm, where the Danube traced its patient line, Albert Einstein was born in 1879. His childhood brimmed with questions, each tick of a clock, each glint of sunlight, inviting him deeper into the mystery of motion. The gears in his father's workshop didn't just measure time, they sparked his imagination, igniting a lifelong pursuit to understand the rhythm behind the visible world. What began as a child's fascination with light became a revolution in thought. Einstein's vision unfastened time from its pedestal, revealing it not as a backdrop, but as part of the stage itself. Through his eyes, the universe became elastic, alive with motion and mystery, a clockwork no longer ticking in isolation, but pulsing with the very breath of the cosmos. In the crucible of his thought, Albert Einstein redrew the cosmos, sketching a universe where time bent with motion. With special relativity, in 1905, he shattered the mystery of a universal clock. Time, he revealed, was not fixed, but stretched and slowed, dilated by speed, warped by gravity. A traveler near light's edge ages slower than the one at rest. A clock in a valley ticks differently from the one on the peak. No single now binds the universe. Each observer carries their own tempo in their own time. What we once thought a steady river is instead a shifting fabric, time as space's twin, pliable and relative. Einstein's theory, born from chasing a light, recast time as a participant, not as a backdrop, a partner in the cosmic dance. From this revelation, his gaze moved further still, toward a picture where time's flow was illusion, and all moments, somehow, always were. From light and motion, Einstein's mind climbed higher. If special relativity shattered the notion of universal time, general relativity made it into something even more profound. In 1915, he unveiled a cosmos where space and time are one, a seamless block where every moment, from the birth of stars to the fall of empires, exists all at once. Time does not flow here. It unfolds like a landscape, still and whole. The present is no more real than the past or future, each moment equally etched into the fabric of reality. Einstein's equations, elegant and exact, reveal a world where clocks deceive and time's passage is but perspective. All moments are fixed, bound together by gravity's quiet script. For Einstein, the universe was not fleeting, but eternal, a silent geometry where nothing truly vanishes. In his later years, Albert Einstein turned to loss. The death of his friend, Michele Besso, stirred something quiet and enduring. For us, believing physicists, he wrote, the distinction between past, present, and future is only a stubbornly persistent illusion. Time's divisions, to Einstein, were veils, illusions over the eternal now of the block universe. In that vision, Besso's laughter, his final breath, still exist, held forever in space-time's silent weave. Eternity for Einstein was not mystical, but mathematical, a structure where every moment remains. The block universe left no room for final endings. What was, still is. From the boy chasing a light to the elder writing elegies, Einstein's vision always leaned towards the timeless. His thought became a quiet bridge joining physicists, philosophers, and theologians in their search for the eternal beneath time's tide. Across the ages, three minds offered visions of time and eternity, distinct yet entwined. Aristotle, the stargazer, St. Thomas Aquinas, the silent monk, and Einstein, the light chaser. Their eternities differed, yet each echoed the same stillness. For Aristotle, eternity was motion's endless dance, anchored by the unmoved mover. For St. Thomas, it was God's tota stimul, a present beyond succession, whole and unchanging. And for Einstein, it was the block universe, where every moment endures, fixed in space-time's geometry. Born from wonder, faith, and reason, their visions converged on a single mystery. Eternity is not endless time, but a stillness that holds all things together. They remind us that eternity is not far off. It is beneath the ticking, within the now, holding every before and after in one unbroken whole. This mystery lingers, quiet and persistent. Though time carries us forward, eternity presses gently through its veil, a glimpse of something vast, serene, and whole. Aristotle, St. Thomas, and Einstein. Three minds, three paths, and one truth. Thank you for watching.